Hey, Don, this is Dave.
Dave, hi,
Yeah.
welcome.
Hey, yeah, I had a question. I've got a rental property in Sacramento. It's probably worth about 550. It's got a first lien that's about 4% interest. So I was thinking when I want to decide to sell it, I was thinking I would probably try to wrap it
Yeah, what's the
in
what's the UPB real quick while I'm taking my notes?
it's probably about 300.
So you owe 300 on it at 4%, fully amortized, long-term note,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
balloon, right? Yeah,
Yeah. It's a normal bank note. Yeah.
gotcha. And it's a single
So
family, single family?
yeah, single
Gotcha.
family, 4-2.
Nice.
So in listening to you and other note experts, they always say to try and get the interest rate like close to say 10%. So that if you need to sell the note later, you're not going to take a big discount, right? So, but if I run the numbers and I put in it's like 500K at 10% for 30 years, it comes out to be like 4,000, 4,500 a month, and I'm just wondering. It sounds kind of high to me for a residential payment, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts are. If you think
Yeah, thank you
that
for
would be
bringing it. This
reasonable.
this is going to be a great little thing to end on. Thank you for coming up on here. I'm going to take this down. Can you guys see my screen again? Bup, bup, bup.
Yes.
Where's my calculator? Okay. All right. So basically, to make a deal work, Dave, is first you have to figure out what someone can and will pay for it. So let's get that number first. Your average person that would buy this, like, what's the going rent? What's the rent?
The rent's about 2,700.
Okay, so someone's renting this for 2,700. What's taxes and insurance?
It's probably about 3,000 a year.
So divided by 12 is, what are we, 250-ish?
Yes, that's probably
So
reasonable.
let's just call it 3,000. Someone can only, they have, so someone, maybe they'd pay more if they were buying, right? Because then they have deductions and things like that, and plus ownership. But
Right.
so basically, what if they'd pay 10% more? Maybe so they can. Let's just pretend they can afford 3,000 for the principal and interest, and then they have taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs on top of that, right? So let's just put. I would start with what is affordable. Now, of course, if someone puts down 50%. You see, but if someone who's regularly just putting down 10 to 20%, you have to go, what can someone afford? Otherwise, you're just waiting for a headache and you won't sell it anyway.
Right.
So the more money you want, right, the less the price. So if you want your price, what's more important? What you get for cash flow? Are you going to sell the note? I would suggest no. To me,
Yeah, I
you're
would. I wouldn't plan to sell the note. I was just concerned if for some reason the bank, called it somehow they realized that I sold the
Yes,
property.
that's a great point. You have to have your plan B and it has to be disclosed and you have to talk about it. You're the seller, there's the buyer. Listen, there's this loan in place and I'm going to leave it there, but there's a chance, even though we can make it so that it's, very, 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 very small chance that it'll get accelerated or called. But if it does, what are we going to do? And you have an agreement. Okay, I'm refinancing, you're refinancing, I'm paying it off. What is the deal? You have to have that discussion up front and to be well capitalized to have options to deal with that, because you don't want to sell it to somebody and then the note gets called and then what? You got to foreclose on them? They got to force sell their house? What if the market's down 10, 20% right then? They could lose all the
Yeah.
money that they put into it, right? All their whole life savings. This might be the biggest amount of money they'll ever scrape up in their life is to put a nice down payment down for you. So anyway, I'm getting too far in the weeds. But because I just want this for an example, and thank you so much again. So if you want 550, and let's just say they can put down, what are you thinking, 10, 20% or what?
Yeah, it's somewhere between 10 and 20. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's put 15% down. So we have an 85 note. So these are the things we know. They can't afford any more than this. That I might, right? Someone loses a job,
Yeah.
short term, blah, blah, blah. So here's your note balance. And if you're going to amortize it, how many years do you have left on your underlying, just for kicks and giggles?
I think I've got 25 years
Okay, so
left.
basically you're just going to amortize it, and then once the loan's paid off, or you can pay it off in aggressive manner,
Yeah.
you're at 4%. So basically, and it's fully amortized, so a zero there. They can't afford more than a 6.65, basically call it 6.5.
Yeah.
That's all they can afford, right? So the higher the dollar amount, now it's because you're not thinking of, the main thing is not selling this note in this scenario. And you have to make it affordable. And what's your basis? Like, what did you buy it for?
Oh, I bought it for 225.
Okay, and how much money have you put in it over the years?
Probably 50.
So, okay, and you've been paid on it, so we're not even counting the rent that you've gotten. Let's just pretend that you made a one-time 275, deal into here. Look, even though the face rate on the note might be 6%, you're making double that. You're for the cash you have in it, because it's like, oh, I'm only getting this on my note. But most people, after they pay capital gains, they don't know how to make more than 5, 6, 7% on their money safely, secured by a property they know very well and they could take back if they had to, right? Not like the stock market, that your stock market company crashes, you can't take over that company. You're going to probably, you have no control. So just something to think about, where why not take the IRS's money that you would have otherwise written to them and make interest on it instead, right? So.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just for kicks and giggles, right? To show you. But
Okay.
anyway, does
Yeah,
that kind of help? And then depending on
Yeah.
how much they have down, how much they can really afford, and you're going to have a licensed mortgage originator,
Yeah.
put this together to make sure that you've documented legally that they can afford it, with all the disclosures of the financing and all of that. So, but you can see, if I'm sure your loan payment is way less, right?
Yeah,
What
it
you're
is.
paying. So if they could afford this payment right here, what are you paying? PITI.
I'm paying.
I mean, is it an impounded bank loan or no?
The property taxes are included in the payment. I think the payment's $16.75, and I pay the insurance outside of that.
Okay, so technically, but anyway, so let's just say, is it fair to say $1,500 or something? I know that they're gonna have to pay tax and
Yeah.
insurance. Sometimes you don't want to be so bold on the insurance. You want to be careful how you handle it. But anyway, you've been renting it for, look at that. You could have positive cash flow of $1,500 and not be a landlord anymore, because you'd be willing to go from landlord to lender and simplify your life, do less, get more, right? It's maybe not more, but anyway, does that help? Or any other comments?
That gives me a lot. Yeah, it gives me a different way to look at it.
Yeah, and then if you
yeah.
want to do a little deep dive or a quick thing, you can always hook up with me. I have options on my site to schedule one-on-one time if you want to just noodle down when you get, exactly to the point, or you want A to Z's help. Or, you know what, I have a little do-it-yourself sort of kit for people just like you. It's called Seller Financing for Power, Peace, and Profits. It's over on noqueen.com/shop, and it's a little book, audio, plus short little video course. So that might be something that people listening might want to know.